All right, let's dive into this learning thing. You guys sent us tons of videos about learning strategies.
Like a mountain of them.
Yeah. YouTube channels like Justin Sung and Veritasium.
Podcasts like Andrew Huberman's.
Even a TEDx talk from Josh Kaufman.
A lot to unpack.
It is, but we are ready to go deep and uncover what really works.
And there's some really cool stuff in there.
Definitely some game changers, for sure.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how many common beliefs about learning are actually just plain wrong.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, for example, learning styles.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that some people are visual learners and others are more auditory.
I always thought I was a visual learner.
Right, exactly. And some people think they learn best by doing, the kinesthetic learners.
So are you saying we're all learning the same way?
That's what the research shows. Veritasium did a great video on this.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, he really debunked this whole learning styles myth.
So no matter what your so-called learning style is...
It's really about how you engage with the information.
Okay, so should I just be trying to mix things up then?
Exactly. Using different senses, different approaches.
So combining text, visuals, maybe even some hands-on activities?
Exactly. That's going to be way more beneficial than trying to, squeeze yourself into some kind of learning style box.
So forget the labels, just focus on the engagement.
That's the key. Now, another thing people often get wrong is the order in which they approach learning.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, Justin Sun talks about this a lot in his videos.
I love his videos. He's such a clear explainer.
He is. And he really emphasizes the importance of building a strong foundation.
Oh, I remember he uses that analogy of building a house.
Yeah. You can't start with the roof.
Right. Gotta have a solid base.
Exactly. So Sung has this 4 layers of learning framework.
Fill me in.
So it's all about laying the groundwork first.
Okay, I like
So
that.
the first layer is logic, understanding the big picture, how everything fits together.
That makes sense, kind of like a framework.
Exactly. Then you move on to the concepts layer.
So fleshing out those key ideas.
Right. And only then do you start adding in the details.
So start broad, then zoom in.
Exactly. First, the important details, and finally, the arbitrary details.
Okay, so it's kind of like learning to play the piano, right?
How so?
Well, you wouldn't try to learn like a super complex concerto before you even knew the basic chords.
Makes sense.
You have to build up to it, master the fundamentals.
Precisely. And that brings us to another one of Sung's key points. Theory overload.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
It's when we try to cram in too much information at once.
I think we've all been there.
And it actually backfires. It hinders learning.
Okay, so how do we avoid that trap?
Well, Sung suggests a more balanced approach.
Makes sense.
Combining theory with practice.
So not just reading about it, but actually doing it.
Right. And gradually increasing the complexity as you go.
Like starting with the easy stuff and then leveling up.
Exactly. He uses the example of learning archery.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine trying to learn all the nuances of archery technique.
Before you even shoot an arrow.
Yeah, you'd be completely overwhelmed.
Right. It's like reading a whole textbook about tying shoelaces.
But never actually trying it.
Oh, totally. So baby steps, right?
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Start with the basics and gradually build up from there.
Okay, so avoid theory overload and take it slow and steady.
Exactly. And this connects to something we saw in another video.
Oh, yeah.
Matthias Pilheim.
Tell me more.
He talks a lot about the importance of taking ownership of your learning.
I love that.
Finding your own initiative.
So no one can force you to learn.
Exactly. It has to come from within.
It's about being proactive.
Absolutely. Shifting your focus.
From I have to I want to.
I love that. It's all about those long-term rewards.
It's true. Thinking about how good it will feel to finally master that skill.
That's the motivation.
Yeah.
Now, get ready for this. One of the most surprising strategies we found.
I'm intrigued. Hit me.
Testing as learning.
So, are you saying that taking tests can actually help us learn?
It's not just about assessing what you know.
There's more to it.
It actually helps you learn more effectively.
Okay, my mind is blown. How does that even work?
Well, Andrew Huberman did a whole podcast episode on this.
Oh, wow. I'll have to check that out.
You should. He explains that testing yourself is one of the best ways to fight forgetting.
Oh, that makes sense.
It really solidifies your knowledge.
Okay, so like a mental workout.
Exactly. And he even talked about a study where students who were tested multiple times actually did better than those who just studied repeatedly.
Oh, wow, really? So even if we don't get everything right on those tests...
Right. The act of testing itself helps strengthen those connections in your brain.
It's like forcing your brain to really engage with the material.
Exactly. It's not just about memorizing facts.
So it's about understanding it deeply enough to apply it.
That's the goal. All right, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about sleep.
Okay, so I know sleep is obviously important for our health.
Right, but it's also crucial for learning.
In what way?
Matthias Pilhedy describes it as cleaning your synapses from metabolic toxins.
Whoa, okay, that's pretty vivid.
Right, so during sleep, your brain is processing and consolidating everything you learned.
So those all-nighters aren't doing us any favors.
Not at all. You're actually depriving your brain of that crucial processing time.
Oh, wow. So rest is just as important as the study itself.
Absolutely. And speaking of maximizing our brain power,
I'm listening.
we need to talk about spaced repetition and interleaving.
Okay, remind me what those are again.
Spaced repetition is the idea that we learn better when we review information at increasing intervals.
So not just cramming everything in right before a test.
Right. Spread it out over time.
So like reviewing the material a few times over the course of a week or even a month.
Exactly. That'll be much more effective than one massive cram session.
I can see how that would make it stick better.
And then there's interleaving.
That's the one where you mix up different subjects, right?
So instead of just studying one subject for hours on end,
You switch it up.
exactly. It might seem counterintuitive, but it actually helps.
Really? So like I could take a break from studying history by practicing some Spanish vocabulary.
Exactly. Or listen to a podcast about a completely different topic.
Give your brain a little variety show.
Exactly. Keep things fresh and prevent mental fatigue.
Okay, so we've got spaced repetition and interleaving. What else?
Well, we can't talk about learning without talking about Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah, the ultimate learning machine.
Right. And his approach is so fascinating.
I am ready to hear it.
He's all about first principles thinking.
Breaking things down to their fundamental truths.
Exactly. Understanding the why before the how.
Oh, I've heard him say that college is basically for fun.
He has.
Yeah.
And that you can learn anything you want online for free.
I mean, while I might not agree entirely with that,
Right.
there's definitely a grain of truth there.
He raises a good point. We should be more intentional about what we choose to learn and why.
So what are we truly passionate about? What problems do we want to solve?
That's where the real motivation comes from.
And that passion fuels the learning journey?
Exactly. This is just the tip of the iceberg, though. We've got a lot more to explore.
I'm already so intrigued. Can't wait to see what other learning gems we uncover.
We've got some good ones coming up.
I'm excited. Back again for more learning secrets.
Ready to level up your learning game even further.
You bet. Part 1 was mind-blowing.
We've got more where that came from.
All right, let's do it.
So we talk about a lot of different techniques.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many factors actually contribute to effective learning.
It's not just one thing, it's a whole system.
Exactly. But there's one key element we need to add to our toolkit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Deliberate practice.
Absolutely. That's where the real magic happens.
Okay, so I've heard this term before, but...
It's more than just regular practice, right?
Right. What makes it so special?
It's about practicing with intention.
So not just mindlessly repeating the same thing over and over.
Exactly. You have to push yourself beyond your comfort zone.
Actively seeking out ways to improve.
Identifying your weaknesses, targeting those areas.
Oh, and getting feedback too, right?
Yes. Feedback is crucial to refine your approach.
So it's like if you're learning to play the piano,
Okay, yeah.
you wouldn't just keep playing the same easy song.
Right. You'd challenge yourself with harder pieces.
Exactly. Focusing on the parts that give you trouble.
And getting feedback from a teacher or someone more experienced.
I like that analogy. So deliberate practice is about being strategic.
It is. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Josh Kaufman, in his TEDx talk.
Oh, yeah, the one about the 20 hours.
Exactly. He challenges this whole idea of natural talent.
Like some people are just born good at things.
Yeah. He argues that talent is often overstated.
Interesting. So with deliberate practice, anyone can become proficient at almost anything.
That's the idea. It's about putting in the work, practicing strategically.
Okay, that's empowering. And he says it only takes 20 hours.
20 hours of focused, deliberate practice.
To go from like clueless to competent?
He says grossly incompetent to reasonably good.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Right. Less than an hour a day for a month.
You could learn so much in that time.
Think about it. A new instrument, a new language, a new skill.
Okay, I'm sold. Deliberate practice is the way to go.
It's a game changer for sure.
But how do we make sure we're using those 20 hours effectively?
Well, the first step is to set clear goals.
Right. Gotta have a target in mind.
What exactly do you want to achieve?
Define what success looks like.
Do you want to play a specific song on the guitar?
Hold a conversation in a new language.
Build a website from scratch.
Once you have that goal,
You can break it down into smaller steps.
and then tailor your practice to target those specific areas.
And don't forget feedback. Find a mentor, a teacher, a peer.
Like having a coach for your learning journey.
Exactly. Now, remember we talked about Elon Musk?
Oh, yeah, first principles thinking.
Right. Breaking things down to their core principles
Understanding the why.
that can really deepen your understanding of any subject.
So instead of just memorizing facts and formulas,
You're asking yourself why things work the way they do.
like in history, instead of just memorizing dates and names,
You could try to understand the cause and effect relationships
it's like the difference between memorizing a recipe.
and understanding the science of baking.
Oh, I like that. Once you understand the why,
You can adapt, you can experiment,
and that kind of deep understanding is so much more valuable.
than just surface level memorization.
Okay, so first principles thinking is a must-have.
It's a powerful tool. Now, Elon Musk is also a huge advocate for self-directed learning.
Oh, yeah, the idea that you can learn anything online for free.
He really believes in the power of those resources.
And it's true. We have access to so much information.
Online courses, tutorials, videos, articles, you name it.
It's like having a world of knowledge at our fingertips,
Exactly. And while structured education is still variable,
especially for foundational knowledge,
self-directed learning gives you so much freedom.
to tailor your education to your own interests
Exactly. You can dive deep into the things you're passionate about.
and learn at your own pace.
That kind of passion-driven learning is so powerful,
It's about taking ownership of your learning journey.
making it meaningful for you. And remember Matthias Pilheidy's advice.
Oh, about overcoming procrastination.
Just start.
Even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
That's all it takes to get the ball rolling.
And with self-directed learning, you have to be proactive.
No one is going to tell you what to learn.
You're the driver.
You're in control. Which brings us back to that idea of initiative.
Overcoming that initial resistance.
Shifting your mindset from I have to I want to.
Okay, so we've got deliberate practice, self-directed learning. What else?
Well, we need to talk about managing our cognitive resources.
You mean like not overloading our brain?
Exactly. Remember Justin Sung's theory overload?
Oh, yeah, taking on too much at once.
We have to be mindful of how much information we're processing.
Right, our brains can only handle so much.
And it takes effort. It takes energy to really engage with new information.
It's like working out a muscle. You need to give it time to recover.
Exactly. So strategies like spaced repetition, interleaving, even short breaks,
Oh, yeah, those are all important.
they help prevent burnout.
So instead of cramming, we break our study sessions into smaller chunks.
We switch between subjects, we give ourselves time to rest.
And of course, we prioritize sleep.
Andrew Huberman was very clear about that.
Sleep is like hitting the safe button on our brains.
I love that. It gives your mind time to process and store all that new information.
Okay, so deliberate practice, self-directed learning, managing our cognitive resources, sleep. Did we miss anything?
We're hitting all the key points.
Yeah.
But there's one more ingredient I want to highlight.
Lay it on me.
A mindset of curiosity and playfulness.
Oh, interesting. We've talked about effort and practice.
Look, learning should also be fun.
I love that. So we're not just forcing ourselves to learn.
Right. We're approaching it with a sense of wonder.
Like being excited to explore new ideas.
Exactly. When we're genuinely interested in something.
Our brains are much more receptive.
It's like the difference between forcing yourself to eat your vegetables.
And savoring a delicious dessert.
Perfect analogy. When we enjoy the process,
We're more likely to remember what we learn.
and that sense of playfulness also helps us overcome the fear of making mistakes.
Oh, that's so important. Mistakes are part of the process.
They're opportunities to learn and grow
It's like giving ourselves permission to experiment.
without the pressure of being perfect.
I love that. And sometimes those unexpected discoveries,
Those aha moments.
those are the most rewarding parts of the learning journey.
Absolutely. So we've got deliberate practice, self-directed learning, managing our cognitive resources, sleep, a mindset of curiosity and playfulness. I think you can handle all that.
My brain is ready to explode, but in a good way. All right, final round of our learning deep dive.
Time to put all these strategies together.
My brain is still buzzing from parts 1 and 2.
It's a lot to take in, but trust me, it's worth it.
Oh, I totally agree. This has been incredible.
So are you ready for some more advanced techniques?
Bring it on. I'm ready to supercharge my learning.
Okay, well, we talked about spaced repetition before.
Yeah.
And there's a specific system that takes this concept to the next level.
Oh, tell me more.
It's called the Leitner system.
Okay, I've heard of that. Something about flashcards.
Yeah, it's all about using flashcards strategically.
Okay, so how does it work?
So you create your flashcards as usual, but then you have multiple boxes.
Oh, I think I've seen this.
And when you get a question right, you move it to a box that you review less often.
Okay.
And if you get it wrong, it stays in a box that you review more frequently.
So it's like a personalized review schedule.
Exactly. You're focusing on the things you're struggling with.
And gradually phasing out the stuff you already know.
It's like a built-in algorithm for maximizing your flashcard learning.
I love that. Okay, so Leitner system for flashcards, what else?
Well, since we're talking about memory techniques,
Hit me with it.
have you ever heard of the memory palace?
Oh yeah, the memory palace. Isn't that the one where you visualize a familiar place?
That's the one. Like your house, for example.
And you associate information with different locations.
Exactly. Let's say you're trying to remember a grocery list.
Okay.
You could imagine walking through your house and mentally placing each item in a different room.
So like a carton of milk on the kitchen counter,
A loaf of bread on the dining room table.
a giant bag of chips sprawled out on the couch.
Perfect. The more vivid and unusual the association.
The easier it is to remember.
Your brain loves these weird multisensory connections.
I can see how that would be hard to forget.
It's like tapping into your brain's natural spatial memory.
Okay, memory palace, that's a good one.
And speaking of powerful memory techniques,
There's more.
there's one more I want to share with you.
I'm ready.
It's called the Feynman technique.
Oh, I love this one. Named after Richard Feynman, the physicist.
That's right. He was a brilliant thinker.
And the idea is, if you can't explain something simply, you don't really understand it.
That's the gist of it. It's a 4-step process.
Okay, break it down for me.
First, choose a concept you want to learn.
All right, got it.
Then, try to explain it in simple terms, as if you were teaching it to someone who knows nothing about it.
So, like, explaining it to a 5-year-old,
Exactly. And that's where the real learning happens.
you have to really think it through.
Right. And then third, you identify any gaps in your understanding.
The points where you get stuck.
Exactly. And finally, go back to your source material and refine your understanding.
Until you can explain it clearly and concisely. I love that. It's like putting your knowledge to the test.
It is. And it's so effective.
So, Leitner system, memory palace, Feynman technique, we've got a whole arsenal of learning strategies now.
We do. But as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to emphasize one more thing.
Okay, what's that?
Mindset.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that earlier.
It's so crucial. Because if you approach learning with a fixed mindset,
Like believing that your abilities are set in stone,
you're not going to get very far.
you have to believe that you can grow.
That you can develop your skills and knowledge.
Embrace the growth mindset.
Exactly. And remember, learning is a journey.
It's not a destination.
It's about embracing the process, being open to new experiences.
not being afraid to make mistakes.
Mistakes are just feedback. They help us learn and improve.
That's so true. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's one thing our listeners can do today to put these strategies into practice?
I'm glad you asked. I have a challenge for everyone listening.
Let's hear it.
Think about a skill you've always wanted to learn
Okay, I'm thinking.
and commit to spending just 20 minutes today exploring it.
That's it. Just 20 minutes.
That's all it takes to get started.
Okay, I can do that.
Read an article, watch a tutorial, brainstorm some ideas,
Just take that first step.
and prove to yourself that you have the power to learn and grow.
I love it. So simple, yet so powerful.
And remember, learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge.
It's about expanding your horizons,
Challenging yourself, becoming a more well-rounded individual.
unlocking your full potential.
Exactly. And living a more engaged and fulfilling life.
Well said. We've reached the end of our deep dive into learning how to learn.
But this is just the beginning of your learning journey.
That's right. We hope these strategies have inspired you to become a lifelong learner.
To embrace every opportunity to grow and expand your mind.
Happy learning, everyone.
Until next time.